Baby Noor was only 1 year old, but she already had the biggest smile in the whole neighborhood. She lived with Mama, Papa, and her soft teddy bear named Mr. Buttons in a small yellow house with a big garden full of flowers, butterflies, and a little wooden swing. Noor loved the garden more than anything. Every morning, Mama would carry her outside in her soft blanket, and Noor would laugh at the bees buzzing, the butterflies dancing, and the leaves swaying in the wind. She couldn't walk yet, but her curious little eyes noticed everything. One sunny spring morning, Noor woke up to the sound of Mama humming in the kitchen. Mr. Buttons was snuggled beside her, and sunlight poured into the room, but something felt strange. Noor wriggled, listening closely. Normally, she could hear the birds singing outside, but today, silence. Mama came in with a smile. "Good morning, Noor. Let's have breakfast." But even Mama noticed that something was missing. Why aren't the birds singing today? She wondered. After breakfast, Mama carried Noor to the garden. Noor gasped, well, in her baby way, which was more like, ooh! The flowers were drooping, the butterflies were nowhere to be seen, and the bees had disappeared. The garden felt sleepy and sad. "What happened here?" Mama said. She walked around, checking the plants. Noor reached out her tiny hand toward a yellow daisy, as if she wanted to comfort it. She babbled softly. Ba-ba-ba. Mr. Buttons was tucked under her arm, looking at the garden too. Suddenly, Noor spotted something shiny near the fence. She pointed. Da! Mama followed her finger and found a little golden key lying in the grass. "That's strange. This isn't ours," Mama said, picking it up. She put it in her pocket and continued watering the flowers. But Noor's mind was already buzzing. She didn't know what a key was for, but she felt it was important. The garden gate mystery. Later that day, Papa came home and decided to check the old wooden gate at the far end of the garden. Normally, it stayed locked, but when he touched it, click, it swung open. "Someone's been here," Papa said, looking puzzled. Noor, sitting in her stroller, leaned forward with wide eyes. Beyond the gate was a tiny path she had never seen before, covered in vines. Papa pushed the stroller through, and they followed the path. Soon they came to a little clearing with a broken stone fountain. Around it were dozens of flowers, wilted and thirsty. And sitting beside the fountain was a tiny brown bird with a hurt wing. "Oh, you poor thing," Mama said softly. She knelt down, offering her hand. The bird didn't fly away, it only chirped weakly. Noor reached out too, her little fingers curling in excitement. "Bee," she said, which was her baby version of bird. Mama and Papa took the bird home, put it in a cozy box, and gave it some water. Noor's baby plan. The next morning, Noor woke early. The bird was resting in the box beside her crib, looking much better, but the garden was still sad. Noor had an idea. Well, as much as a baby could have an idea. She decided she would make the bird happy, and maybe that would make the garden happy too. She crawled to her toy basket and found her little red plastic cup. Then she pointed at the kitchen tap until Mama noticed. "You want water?" Mama asked, filling the cup halfway. Noor clutched it carefully in her tiny hands, spilling just a little, and crawled to the bird's box. She placed the cup inside, with Mama's help, so the bird could drink. The bird chirped, a brighter, happier sound this time. Noor clapped her hands. Da-da-da! The magical key. That afternoon, the golden key Mama had found rolled off the counter. Noor picked it up, fascinated by its shine. She crawled toward the garden gate, holding the key tightly. Mama followed, smiling. "Where are you going, little adventurer?" Noor reached the gate and held up the key. Mama laughed, but when she slipped it into the small lock on the side of the fountain, the one they hadn't noticed before, it clicked. The fountain gave a little rumble, and water began to flow. Papa, who had just come outside, stared in amazement. "Well, this must be an old water source for the garden." The fresh water trickled down into a shallow pool. The bird hopped over and splashed happily. Moments later, butterflies began to drift in from somewhere. Bees buzzed near the flowers, and the garden seemed to wake up from its nap. A very special day. For the next week, Noor's garden became the happiest place again. The flowers stood tall, the bees worked busily, and the butterflies danced around her stroller. Every morning, the little brown bird would visit, chirping from a branch above Noor's head. Mama and Papa often told their friends, "Our baby saved the garden." They knew it wasn't exactly true. Mama had turned the key, Papa had carried the stroller. But without Noor's pointing finger, her curiosity, and her care for the bird, none of it would have happened. On her first birthday, Mama and Papa gave Noor a small gold charm shaped like a key. "For our little garden hero," Mama said, placing it in a tiny box for her to keep until she was older. Noor didn't really understand, but she liked the shiny gift. The garden stayed beautiful all through the summer. And every time the little bird sang, Noor would clap and giggle, as if they shared a secret only the two of them knew. Moral of the story: even the smallest hands and kindest hearts can bring life and happiness back to the world.